Friends and lovers, welcome to the Jimpressions for Radical Heights. It's another Battle Royale game, although this one's unique because you have to play it in windowed mode in order to stop the game from giving you a migraine with gigantic flashing green rectangles. At least my copy of the game had to be played in windowed mode, and a couple of other people have had similar complaints, and that's the answer to fix it. But anyway, this game is notable for the fact that Boss Key is making it. Boss Key, of course, Cliff Bleszinski's outfit, and they were making a hero shooter called, what was it, Lawbreakers, that was it. They made a hero shooter called Lawbreakers because hero shooters were popular for a minute. Now, Battle Royale games are popular for a minute, so Lawbreakers was thrown in the trash can, in the trash with that, and then basically, within 24 hours, announced this, and then put it out in what they call XTREEEEME, spelled, you know, with an X and then Treem, XTREEEME Early Access. And yeah, it's in extreme early access with emphasis on the extreme. The thing about this game is they went for the most obvious theme, that of a cheesy 80s style game show, something like The Running Man, something like Smash TV. The problem is that if you're gonna do a game that's like Smash TV, that's like Running Man, you need some production value. You see, here's the problem with early access. In general, games get one launch. First impressions are everything, and this early access idea is a great way to, like, you know, rush out concepts to capitalise on a growing genre's popularity, but if you do a really shitty job of launching in early access, that's probably what you're going to be best remembered for. And this game, already viewed as cynical simply for the announcement, you know, the sudden cancellation of Lawbreakers a week later they're here with Radical Heights, has done itself no favours by releasing something so obviously rushed and janky with its lacking textures, its plasticky buildings that are all hollow and bereft of detail. It is far, 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 far from the worst game I've ever played in early access, but it ain't bloody good, not by a long shot. And some people might shrug and go, well, okay, yeah, it's in early access, but at least it works. At least there's potential. And I don't doubt it. There is a functional skeleton here. It's not unique, it's not new, it's nowhere near as good as Fortnite or PUBG, but it does work, and that can be built upon. But to bring us back to what I said a moment ago, this is based on a cheesy game show. That's their conceit. One may argue an incredibly obvious, easy conceit. But if you're going to do something that obvious, there is an important caveat. If you're going to do a Smash TV Running Man style game, it needs to have high production value because that's what those things are known for. Explosions and glitz, pyro, glamour. The entire concept doesn't work if you launch it in early access and it's slapdash and it's missing any sense of atmosphere. Being threadbare and hodgepodge may work for a more realistic survival game, something like PUBG, but something like this, something with that game show aesthetic, that TV studio sense, the context, the very reason for the game being here falls flat on its fucking face if you launch in extreme early access, and the physics are wonky, and the button presses are unresponsive, and it all reeks of placeholder assets. There are certain items, vending machines, prizes, stuff like that, littered around the world that actually nail the aesthetic. They've got their glowy lights, their tacky sound effects, and that's fine, but they're peppered around such a barren, bland, flat, featureless landscape. And it is, to use a beloved phrase, a little bit dissonant. As far as the game itself goes, you know, like, it works. It does work. As a Battle Royale game, as a shooter, everything's in place. It's all a little bit shoddy, a little bit sluggish, unresponsive. The frame rate can be crap. And some of the visual effects, especially if you use a zipline, are going to put blisters on top of your eyeballs. But fundamentally, it's no worse than something like PUBG. In fact, in terms of features, or at least things to do, there's a little bit more going on. However, for the most part, as you can tell from this run, it's not a very good run, but it's the best was able to record footage-wise. There's still just a lot of wandering around with nothing to do, then finding someone, shooting at them and either dying or killing. You know, it's a battle royale game, what more do you want? It's a battle royale game that could have sold itself on that 80s game show vibe, but because it launched in early access and simply didn't have what it needed in place and lacks the polish to pull it off, it just looks weak. And it looks like what it is, let's face it, desperate. I don't want to be cruel here, and I do think that Battle Royale games don't begin and end with PUBG and Fortnite. There's surely room for some other fresh takes on the idea, but this ain't a fresh take on the idea. This is a grasping, cloying, cynical attempt to cash in on a trend while it's still hot. And it's so obvious. It's so surfy. Like, it wears it on its sleeve, just how thirsty it is for that same kind of attention, that same kind of pop culture relevance that Fortnite enjoys. Anyway, there'll be some shooting in a second. I'll show you what the shooting looks like. Like I said, this wasn't a very good run of mine, so I didn't even do a very good job with the shooting, but I don't find the shooting particularly satisfying in this game. The audio-visual feedback is weak. The guns don't feel like they're particularly impactful, you know. It's just a bit of a with all of your gunfire. And yeah, they were doing the bouncy jumpy thing, whatever. Anyway, that's what shooting in the game looks like. This is what healing with a medkit in the game looks like. You've got a bit of a... I don't like the UI in this either, if I'm perfectly honest. It's very busy, and when characters die, you'll sometimes... not sometimes, it happens when characters die, something flashes in the right-hand side of the screen, and it makes me eye twitch, just instinctively thinking someone is there on the right-hand side of the screen. There's someone else just shooting at them. It's pretty good at letting you know you've hit something. I'm a big fan of games that actually show you that. You can't really see... You can see something on the right-hand side of the screen, flickering, but this isn't running... You're not seeing all of the screen on here at the moment because, like I said, I had to fuck around with the window in order to not make the thing look atrocious and melt my eyeballs out of my eye sockets as a thick, gooey white and red paste. Sort of be a pink paste, really, if my eyeballs melted, especially with the red connective tissue. At the same time, they would melt and a sort of thick, viscous soup would dribble out of my head. And anyway, here's me dying. Bye.